No, my eyes are just watering. I don't know why. Thanks. It should be fine. Yeah, let's get started.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Radavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusantatami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulla Ravindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetam Dudaduhe Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So, Hari Om, everyone. I hope this is getting recorded. Yes. It is, right? Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Good. So, in this 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we are actually continuing with the Vishwarupa Darshanam. You know, Arjuna is continuously getting amazed by the wondrous spectacle that he's seeing in front of him. And he says, you know, Dishona jane nalabhena sarvam prasida devesha jagannivasa in shloka number 25. And he's able to say that, you know, I'm really unable to locate where exactly you are. You seem to be everywhere, you know, so he's just, I mean, there's so many things that totally kind of moves him. You know, he's just completely in awe of everything, right? Now, let's, you know, kind of take a pause. And I want you to start thinking about something here, you know. So, though this Bhagavad Gita, right, was spoken, actually, the whole of Bhagavad Gita was given to Arjuna before the war started, right? It started way before the war started. So, in some sense, the Mahabharata had already taken place. You know, the events had already been recounted, correct? Because the war hasn't, imagine this. Arjuna is standing in front of Krishna and the war hasn't started. But here, you know, in the last session when we saw how there are, you know, people, hordes of people are really getting into so-called Krishna's mouth here. We saw all that. So Arjuna is actually seeing something which is already happened. So everything, you know, in some sense, you can say that all the things that Arjuna was seeing had already happened even before the war started. I don't know if we, kind of grasp that power of what Krishna is already telling him. Krishna is already showing him the future. Krishna has already shown him something where things have happened. It's almost like, something is happening not in a one dimension, two dimension, three. Imagine that there is a fourth dimension. So in that fourth dimension, things have already happened. So kind of left, let's kind of reflect upon this in some sense. So this Mahabharata war has already taken place. So in real life, many times we find that there is a lot of time that happens for events to manifest itself as a concrete appearance in our physical world. Like for example, if you're going to Costco, right? The thought of going to Costco has already occurred in your mind maybe a couple of days before. And you've already gone through this thing in your mind that, okay, I'm going to pick up this in this aisle, I'm going to walk out, I'm going to do this. So in some sense, that event has already happened to you in your mind, right? So something like that. Now here we have um, Krishna giving Arjuna that process of something which has already happened. And some of the examples, like for example, I just wanted to give here. Um, I know we are leading a good life and everything, but are we even aware of what is happening inside our body? Just as any kind of disease, and some of us are at that age where we can actually see the manifestation of something which maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago showed up as a small irritation or whatever. So this disease is manifesting itself first inside before it manifests itself outside, right? Another thing is getting a promotion or losing a job. We get so affected by it when something like this, whether it's elation or whether it's disappointment, depression, than when it actually happens, right? Now, another thing which I also think many times is when I used to work at BSF on Southfield, I'd be getting into I-696, and from Novi, it will always be kind of jam packed. There'll be a traffic jam there. But somebody who is entering into from, say, Orchard Lake or something, I'm just showing I-696 East, okay? Somebody who's entering in from Orchard Lake would have found that the traffic jam is already eased up. So the traffic jam is already completed what it has happened. So all these events, every event that is happening in the world, in some sense, it appears to manifest at different times due to the action of, you would say, the processes into which previously some actions had already started, right? So I want you to kind of keep this in your mind, as you're viewing these shlokas. Otherwise, it'll just seem like, these shlokas are, Arjuna is just experiencing something. Krishna is showing him all this. There's a reason why he's doing that. He's wanting to bring Arjuna to some sense of acceptance, some sense of preparing him for the war, right? Um, so I just want to open that to you a little bit before we go into all the shlokas which I've had planned to do today. What do you think? Are you able to see the connection? Are you able to see the connection between the last shlokas that we had seen? And that's why this 26 to 31, we're just going to go through the shlokas just to show you that. Yeah.
Harivom, yeah.
Yes, Anand.
Yeah, I see the connection. And then as you mentioned, in real life, we see this. such as job promotion, things like that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
also, one example to take, let's say two companies are merging. So the whole process, starts few months before,
Mhm.
to see the feasibility, to see what's going on, to see
Right.
is going to make a, better for both the companies, and so many, transactions. So all the preparations, things go on, and then by the time they announce, there's already a plan in place, kind of
Mhm.
how to proceed, or So that's one of the examples I can think of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the thought also behind this, what I'm trying to get to is, of course, we are going to be discussing this towards the in the shlokas itself. But is there something, um, a profound thought that comes to your mind with regard to how we have to face life? Because that is what Krishna is trying to show Arjuna here by showing him the future of all these people being killed. Many of the Kauravas are getting killed, including his own teacher, Bhishma, Drona. All of them are going to get killed. And he shows that. What is Krishna trying to really tell Arjuna?
One thing I can think is, in the, in anyone's life, Bhagavan is already planned how it's going to be. How the, due to whatever is the past karmas are,
Mhm.
so
Right,
Sanchita and Agami, all that.
right.
So it's already planned, but it doesn't mean, like one has to just keep quiet and then okay, it's going to happen. Sometimes, so that's not is a practical way.
Mhm.
One should put his or her own effort, and ask Bhagwan's help. So then, uh, yeah, things can
Right,
even improve from whatever is
right.
happening.
Exactly. So the thing is that all the things that we started seeing from one to the first six chapters, you see here the aspect of this karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which is Ishvara has already taken care of a lot of things. A lot of things has already been planned in the previous time. A lot of things are happening now. And whatever has been planned is what you're going to see in the future. Now, if you take that message, what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna is that you are nothing but an instrument in my hands to do the
Yeah,
work. I
Hari,
have pretty much done everything. Yes, yes, Amma.
Hari Om. Arjuna's main problem was he thinking that he was going to kill his, relations and gurus. So, but the God is trying to tell him that I am the person who creates and I am the person who destroys. So you don't have to feel guilty. He's trying to uh, tell Arjuna, and sort of Arjuna gets the message now. And
Correct,
then
exactly.
he goes ahead, then starts the war.
Exactly. So, I mean, think about it, how powerful this message is. If there is
Hari Om.
somebody who's, yes, Meena.
So what, from what I understand, what Lord Krishna tries to say is, life is as is. You have to take it. I think in 2 or 3 chapters back, you said you gave a quote. Life,
Mhm.
this is your last day. Think that the life is this day of your life is last day, and
Uh-huh.
make sure enjoy to the maximum. So life as is your last day. So I think you gave a quote. I'm not sure if it is 8th or 9th chapter you gave. The first quote you gave,
Uh-huh.
life as if today is your last day.
Right.
So that's what Lord Krishna is trying to say. Think that this is
Right.
your last day of your life, and make sure you try to do the best that you can, and
Right.
um, feel happy about it.
Right. You're right. Absolutely. That is one way of looking at it. But in a bigger picture, what Krishna is telling Arjuna is that guess what? Everything that you really wanted to achieve in life, I have already made that possible for you. Especially in this case, Krishna is saying that I what you're seeing all in front of you are people who are already on the way out. Okay? So don't worry that you are the one who's killing them, but I have already done that job for you. But in that sense, I mean, it's not with an ego that Krishna is saying this. It is through their own past karmas, everyone in this matrix of the world are leading sort of a drama. We are all playing a drama where the whole script has already been written. And in the script, we all are acting according to what we are supposed to do, in which there are two of those components, both the prarabdha of individuals plus the purushartha, what every individual is exhibiting at any point in time. All this is happening. And Krishna is just telling Arjuna, you know what? You just do your job. You are being trained to kill, and you just finish it. You just finish the whole thing, what you have come here for. You know?
The
So
quote you
that,
gave, Hari
yes.
Om, the quote you gave is in 8th chapter. The first thing you said, life as if today is your last day, by Mahatma Gandhi. The Yoga of the Imperishable Brahman chapter. That chapter you gave, first quote, the first thing I've noted down. That's the first quote you gave for this chapter.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Meena, for writing it down and also bringing it at the right time here. So you're
Thank
right.
you.
We have to live. I mean, for all those reasons, we have to live every moment of our life right now, not worrying about the future or not regretting anything of the past, right? Because at the it's like we are, as I also gave this other example of the Disney World, you know, all these those what do you call that? That carousels. They just come stand there at the proper time, you know. So like that, we all are where we are because we have destined, we have planned it that way. When we say we have planned it, what I mean is by our own prarabdha and purushartha, we have planned to be where we are at whatever time. You know, so there's no point in worrying about it, regretting, none of those things. So that's the outcome which we saw in this 26 and 27, where, you know, he's saying, Krishna is saying, look at all these you know, into all the sons of this, as well as the hosts, Bhishma, Drona, etc. Um, and in 27, where he says, you know, have gone into your mouth. And basically, you know, so Arjuna is seeing the spectacle in front of him, but I'm not sure. Well, I won't say I'm not sure. I think he is slowly getting it. He's seeing this horrifying picture in front of him, which is happening with all the Kauravas, everything getting into Krishna's mouth, if you will. And he's so in awestruck about it, so much in wonder, so much in sometimes even in fear. But is he really thinking that, oh, you know what? This is all done. Now let me relax. I'm not sure because he's still so much in that, you know, in that fear and in that highly emotional state there. So in order to show that this is not just individually that is happening, like, you know, there's hundreds and thousands of those Kauravas going in, right? So that is why the shlokas 28 and 29, with those two similes with the waters going into the ocean, as well as in 29, which is about the moths, you know, going towards the light, they have been given to show that it is not just an individual case, but this entire world is going through that dissolution phase. We all are proceeding towards it. It seems like we are going very, very slowly compared to these moths or the water moving into the ocean, but nevertheless, that is what is happening. So I just kind of wanted to bring some kind of context to the shlokas that we have seen so far, you know. Otherwise, it will just seem like I said, Arjuna being, you know, Arjuna going through this highly emotional state here. So he's just showing this power of destruction in a very, very grand scale here. So shloka number 30, of course, is all about, you know, Okay, we'll skip this one. It's not the most important shloka here, but because I really want to come to some of the most important shlokas, which is coming here. So then in shloka number 31, finally, Krishna or Arjuna feels that, it looks like Krishna has not yet listened to him. So he asks him one question with the hope of gaining attention and potentially hoping that he can bring back the form of Krishna that he really loves, because now he's seeing this huge, gigantic Krishna, this fearful Krishna. So it's a verse that is very significant actually to the thought flow of this chapter. And so Krishna's wanting to see the other facet of, no, Arjuna is wanting to see the other facet of Krishna. So he says, he's asking, Akya hi me Bhavan Ugra Rupa, tell me who you are. And I really want to know your absolutely true nature. Who are you? I cannot really understand this. And I thought you were, my friend, but I'm seeing something that I really cannot recognize. So please tell me really who I am. And he says, Namostute, please, I'm prostrating before you. I really am begging you. Deva Vara Prasida Vignatum Ichami Bhavantam Adyam. So he says, I really want to know who you are, your beginning, your middle, your end. And all this is very important for me. So please do let me know. So that's when Krishna, in just about 3 shlokas, after this really long wait, he says, he reveals himself. And this shloka is the one that I told you last time, is the one that Robert Oppenheimer, who was a creator of this atom bomb, uttered the shloka when he saw the power of the creation for the first time, So here, what he's trying to show is that, we think we have time on our side, but actually time is just going, and this time, in time, we see all these things, which is birth, sustenance and death. So uh, you see Krishna saying that he's the one who's actually controlling time. He's the master of time itself in shloka number 32. So he says, kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravrittaha lokan samahrit miha pravrittaha Ritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve yevastitha pratyanikeshu yodhaha. So, he says, Kalosmi lokakshaya pravrittaha. I am the all-destroying time here. So I'm here in this form for the destruction of the world through this war that is going to take place, to see that everything is put an end to. Okay? So this, again, chapter 4 comes to my mind, this avatar of Sri Krishna was actually for establishing dharma, right? So it is for destruction of all evil, wickedness. And in that universal form, which we see with this Vishwarupa, we see the whole thing happening, that part of destruction of the world itself. So this is the one that he's trying to show that I am the mighty world destroying time. Look at the way it is. Kalaha asmi lokakshaya krit pravriddha. So in time, everything is happening, and you're looking at now this aspect of time in sort of a different manner. In that in time everything is born, but time is the one that destroys everything also. And he says, I'm in the form of that time which is destroying everything here. And the second line is interesting, and that's why he says, even without you, none shall survive of the warriors arrayed in hostile armies. So in some sense, he's trying to tell Arjuna, you think you are the one who is actually killing all of them, but it's not you, but it is time. In time, everything is happening. Again, you are nothing but an instrument, and that is what, he's trying to say this. So, when you hear this, of course, one might think, why should I then do anything at all? Anyway, things are going to happen. So let me just sit on my couch and watch, as many movies as I want, or etc. Right? So probably Arjuna would have had this kind of a thought And he would have wondered, what was the need then to fight at all? And that is why Krishna comes and then he says, yes, in time it is happening, but I need someone to do this. Okay. Just like in a toolbox, right? We have so many different kind of tools, each one meant to do a certain thing. So too here, Krishna is trying to remind us and tell us that, you've been born in this world here to exhaust, of course, your own vasanas and to sort of exhaust the vasanas in a collective sense. We are part of this universe trying to do something which is very necessary for us to do it. So that's why anticipating this, Krishna is making that bold statement in this upcoming shloka. It's like this. Suppose I really want to see some movie, okay? And we know that as we are sitting in the theater, we would have read some reviews of the movie, and we know that no matter what happens, there is going to be, probably a happy end at the end. But even though this ending is really no surprise, we still want to sit for 2 hours to see this movie, right? So why is that? We sort of enjoy the drama. We love the emotional ups and downs. We love the fight sequences. We love the running around of this hero and heroine and all this. So we want the movie to entertain us. So just because we know the ending, we're really not going to, walk away from the theater itself. So in that sense, think about how Ishvara has planned this entire world. His Leela works sort of like how this movie works. Krishna had pre-planned the ending of the war and had really orchestrated the events in such a manner that it would result in the destruction of the Kauravas. Now, knowing this, Arjuna would have probably liked to have, uh, loved to have fled the war, right? Uh, but addressing, he calls Arjuna in a very beautiful way. He uses his word, Savya Sachin. Savya Sachin, that is somebody who can use both his arms in archery. So he encourages him to fight. And so this is what I meant when I gave in the beginning this introduction on um, how events are happening in our life, even without us thinking too much about it, things are happening. But we need to do our job. We need to do this karma yoga. We need to think of ourselves as only as an instrument. So if we were to do everything that I'm supposed to do, all the duties, all my responsibilities, the role that I'm playing, all this with an aspect that I'm just an instrument, with the spirit of this kind of detachment, then what happens is I'm actually aligning myself with Ishvara's vision. That is what Krishna is really trying to bring in essence to Arjuna with all these, the advice that he's giving here. So he says, just be an instrument in my hands. If you, and I've given this example before too, I think it was probably the third chapter or something, where I brought this thing about how Swami Tejomananda, he uses the Sanskrit vibhaktis, the vibhaktis which are the subject, object, the dative case, and everything, right? So in all the cases, we tend to think, okay, I am doing it. Aham, I am doing it. So don't think of yourself as a subject, but think of yourself in the dative case, which is the instrument case. In everything that I do, just think that I'm an instrument. I'm an instrument. I'm here for a certain reason. So let me just figure out how best I can be this instrument. It's like a knife, and I'm using a knife to cut something. I want to make sure that my knife is really sharp so that I can cut the vegetables really well. I don't want it to be blunt. I don't want it to be a passive thing. let me be completely actively involved in the action itself. So that's the beauty of the shloka, which is coming up here. Tasmat, yes,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
no problem.
I have a question. Uh, uh, Up till now, the war, they coming onto the Kurukshetra, uh, Krishna and Vidura, I mean Krishna and other saints and sages, they did everything they could for Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, for them to realize that this is going to end badly. Do your penance, ask for mercy, and the Lord is going to give you mercy. Don't go for the war, seek His mercy, and ask for forgiveness and surrender. But they wouldn't do that. So
Right.
over here, then if we it isn't the Lord who took. How do we comprehend this, that we are the instrument in the Lord's hands, but our own actions take us to the how that part I did not get it. I don't know if I'm able to explain it
No,
properly or not.
that's why I use that movie example. When you're going to a theater to watch a movie, um, that movie script, the way the script has been played out on the screen for the 2 hours that you're sitting there, has already been scripted, written, played out, and with a happy ending, right? Each person is just playing a role in that movie to the best of this. Now, suppose, I know it sounds very silly, but suppose uh, in the movie that in or the day that you went to see the movie in the theater, one of the actors in the movie decides that, I really don't like it. I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to kill this person or whatever, let's say he's the hero. Can you ever imagine something like that happening? It cannot, right? It has already been predetermined, predestined that that hero is going to kill that person. Now, that whole thing has been scripted out by this one person who wrote the script and is directed and all that. So too, in many ways, we are, if we do the right thing, okay? In fact, at a later time, I don't know if it will come in this shloka here. After the entire war was over, Krishna actually goes to Yudhishthira and tells him, ultimately, you know why the war was won? He says, the war was won because of your goodness, Arjuna's bravery, and Bhima's strength. Okay. In reality, the whole war would have been won because, again, as Krishna is telling here, I've already done this for you, Arjuna. All you have to do is just go there and do your job as a warrior. Okay. So the point being is that when I am working with all goodness, when I'm working with exhibiting my complete strength, and that is why these three examples are given, and when I'm doing it with full skill as a warrior, I'm doing the best of my abilities. When that is happening, I'm actually in sync with Ishvara's vision. Now, if I decide, like in the case of Arjuna, his role was very crucial, that he was given the unique thing of leading the whole place. And here, if in his mind he decides, I'm going to run away, now he's going against the vision that was already set by Ishvara. Correct? So each one of us have a choice either to align ourselves to the best of our abilities with whatever abilities we have, um, for a common cause. When that happens, it proceeds in a good way. If there is any imbalance, that's when, Krishna says, I come here, paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkritam, is because I'm coming here to take care of adharma. So that's how one has to really interpret. I mean, today there is a lot of this powerful concepts that are coming out, where we are also connecting it to what we did before with Karma Yoga and everything. But that's, I don't know if I really answered your question completely, but the point, I mean, look at this. The examples that I gave in the beginning about promotion and all this also is, the vision of a certain company is set by the CEO, the board of directors, and everything. And the vision is then put into a kind of a mission statement. And from there on, it goes into some big project plans. And from project plans, you have action items. Now, suppose I say, I don't agree with this. Okay. There are two things one can do. One is either you leave the company, so because you don't like it, or you just suffer through it. And I really don't like it, but I'll do it because I need the paycheck and all this. Then what happens is there is an imbalance in the whole system is being created. And because of this imbalance, that person is now subject to being laid off or something at some point, because obviously the work that he's doing doesn't match well with the company's vision or alignment. So that happens, right? I'm not straying away from what we're studying here, but I just wanted to relate it, how the vision is so very important and how all of us working towards a vision is so crucial. And that's where this whole, what Krishna's message is coming through. And I'm trying to connect this. Otherwise, like I said, every shloka will just be horrified, will be fearful of, all those emotions that Arjuna is going through. But why? What is Krishna really trying to teach us through this whole thing?
The other thing is, for Arjuna, as soon as he was he was ready to throw his weapons and run away, Lord Krishna was right there and he guided him and he put him on the right path. For us, it takes, Lord Krishna is not standing right there in person guiding us. It takes us a little bit of, we need to figure out things.
That's because we are egoistic. When I say egoistic,
Exactly.
not in a negative way.
No,
I think
no.
I'm this person, I can do anything, I'm seeing, it's not that we're not seeing things happening to us. It is happening to us, but we are in a moment of denial.
Exactly.
That's all these things are happening. So that surrender aspect is very important.
Very, very
Humility
important.
is very important.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's where I guess Lord really guided him, because he's completely surrendered himself to the Lord. He didn't say there was nothing there. There was no Arjuna over there. He just gave himself away to Lord and said, explain, guide. We don't do that. We hold on to that our own individuality and that ego and it.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the disturbance.
No problem. I'm glad you asked, because that brings more into perspective what we're doing here. Yeah, Anand?
I mean, we go through the karma phala, and then we face what it comes, and it could be good things, it could be difficulties. Again, once we surrender to God, or once we keep praying Him, so we get the strength to face them. Even though we go through the all our karmas, we get the strength to face and overcome them. And then we see the sloka, paritranaya sadhuna vinaya sahita dushkritam. He, people, the one who prays to God or surrenders, becoming like a sadhu. So then Bhagavan takes the responsibility to save him. That's what the slokas say.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So he takes care of it. In fact, he's there all the time taking care of us, On one hand, we are not acknowledging him for that, thanking him enough for that. And on the other hand, we are asking more and more, which he knows is not going to help us anyway. So he puts us in certain situations where he's saying, I only want you to be an instrument of that action. Like each one of us, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a worker, we have been put in a situation where I have to really understand how well am I going to do that job. That's all that is required. So that is what he's saying. Nimitta matram bhava sabya sachin. That is the aspect he's saying here. So basically, he's telling Arjuna, whether you're going to get involved in this battle or not, the time actually has come for all these people to perish. So if you are going to be involved, guess what? Krishna is telling, I'm going to give you this beautiful, in a platter, this name and fame, Arjuna, you're going to get by killing them. Okay. And the other thing about it actually is that Bhishma and Drona was so powerful. I mean, if you read that book, our Gurudev's book here, he talks about how, Drona had access to certain weapons, Bhishma had access to weapons, and Arjuna knew about all this. In many ways, he was also probably afraid because he knew they were so powerful, he doesn't have a chance here. But then Krishna has decided that these people have to go, So he's basically saying, Arjuna, you just do your best in your job as a warrior. Okay. And the advantage for you is that you will get the name and fame for all this. And then through you, I'm going to be establishing this dharma here. So just do your job. That's what he says. And therefore he says, Tasmat means wherefore, since the time has come for these people to go, I'm going to remove them anyway. So uttishta. And not only that, yasho labhasva, try and see how you can get name and fame for all this thing here. And maye vaite nihita purvameva. All these people have already been destroyed by me. So that is what I'm doing. So just do it. So that is why this most powerful nimitta matram savya sachin. May you become just a simple instrument in my hands. And this is one phrase you will see being off quoted so many times, because any amount of time we keep telling ourselves is not enough. Nimitta matram, nimitta matram. Just be a nimitta. Do not run away from what we have to do. So just become an instrument. And so all that, Krishna is saying is, Arjuna, don't, just be an instrument. It's not that I'm asking you to be a puppet and this one, but I'm telling you, so have faith in me and just do everything. So that's what Tasmat Tvam Uttishta. May the glory go to you, even though work has already been done by me. So even though Arjuna, everyone praises him, he says, guess what? You get the glory. So that's any other thoughts on this Nimitta Matram Bhavya Savya Sachin? So by this time, Arjuna probably, had lost, he's probably at a loss for words here, So never in his life had he gone through so much amount of thought behind, what Krishna is trying to tell him here. He has seen all these forms and everything here. So in Shloka 34, to give Arjuna even more confidence, Krishna tells him, Dronam cha Bhishmam cha Jayadratham cha Karnam tatha anyananapi Yodha Viran. So he mentions his four invincible warriors, if you will, of the Kauravas. And he's telling him, guess what? All these people have already been killed here. So who are you really getting worried about? You know, the path is so clear. You just have to do it. There are absolutely no obstacles. So just, kind of do it. And so this is in chapter 2, when Arjuna was worried about exactly these people. By chapter 11, Krishna is saying that, guess what? All this is done. It's um, you just come here, like the surgeons, they come in the beginning, they start the operation, and then let the interns or everyone do the job, and then finally comes and closes up the stitches, right? So that's what he's trying to say here. Arjuna, you just come here, just finish off the last part, but they're actually already dead here. So now we come to the part where, the Lord's yet comforting, straightforward way he's trying to say here. So let's see shloka number 35. I think we have time. Yeah, we have 10 minutes. So now you see, having seen that, having heard that last shloka, Arjuna now has really a lot of gratitude, and he's kind of stunned a little bit also. So there is a kind of a pause in his mind, and at that moment, Sanjaya takes over, and Sanjaya tells, Dhritarashtra. So Sanjaya uvacha etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalir vepamana kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sadgatam bhita pranamya. So you can imagine Arjuna was in second chapter, when he says, Gandivam, I'm just going to put everything down, I'm going to run up, was only because he had seen this great warriors and wondering how is he going to even, face the war, right? So when Krishna has already told him that he has killed everybody, in some sense, this word, Kirit, Kritanjali, Vepamana, Kiriti. So Krishna is addressing Arjuna as somebody who's already won the war and who is being crowned the king. Okay. So Sanjay probably indirectly is telling Dhritarashtra, even now it is not too late. This is really going to happen. Why are you doing this? Okay, so with that, that's what he's saying, that basically having heard that speech, etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya. So Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra, having heard this from Keshava himself, Arjuna, with palms joined and trembling, prostrate, addresses Krishna in a voice choked with emotion and bowing down. So basically showing, Arjuna's humility here, and the fact that Arjuna is surrendering himself. Again, such powerful messages for all of us. We are not even going through what Arjuna is going through. However, why not we also take this aspect and look at our life, that whatever is happening is happening. I remember there was one time there was a big the Gita poster, whatever is happening for the good. Uh, I need to pull that out from somewhere. It might be, I'm sure, as an image somewhere on Google, about and whatever will happen is for the good. Whatever that hasn't happened is also for the good. So we should, I mean, there's enough logical reasons here where, Sanjay is already saying, so Arjuna has now completely understood that, and he's not only getting his confidence, but he's getting very humble here. So Arjuna begins his response here. So this is the third stage of Arjuna's response, which is actually now one of devotion and surrender. So we have gone through those various phases of this one. Ashcharyam, in the beginning it was Ashcharyam was there, and then there was Bhayam, which was the second stage, and now it is Sharanagati. complete surrender. There is a little bit of fear. It's not that it's completely gone, because fear is probably one of those deep-rooted emotions, which is probably one of the last to go away from our system. But so long as, and fear in many ways is also connected to how much we are holding on to our own ego. So, so that is where he's coming here. So in Shloka 36, Arjuna is saying, Sthane Rishikesha Tava Prakritya Prakitya Jagat Prahrishyat Yanurujyate cha Rakshamsi Bhitani Disho Dhravanti Sarve Namasyanti cha Siddha Sangaha. So, it is all with deep humility that, he's now addressing the Lord here. And he's trying to show him how, how he's so grateful. And he's saying, Sthane Rishikesha Tava Prakritya. Prakritya. It is but fitting, just right, O Rishikesha, that in your praise. This word sthane, we will actually analyze this a little more, because that's probably one of the most important phrases here. And he says, Jagat prahrishyati anurajyate cha. The world, the good-minded, takes great delight and rejoices. So when Suvarna mentioned about how the sadhus, no, not Anant, I think, mentioned about how the sadhus understood. So that is why all the sadhus really know Krishna in his true essence. And so you have the good-minded people who take great delight. Then you have the Rakshasas who are filled with fear and they fly to all quarters. I mean, because of Krishna's goodness, the might of him. And to thee do they all bow down, the host of Siddhas. That's what the Paritranaya Sadhunam, the devout and the upright. So all these, so we have the four different people, the good-minded, the evil-minded people, and then you have the people who are completely surrendered to him, and this absolutely the sinless people who, or the people who are straightforward, Arjavam. They all bow down to the Lord with gratitude and with firm resolve, stick to the rule of righteousness. So that is what he's trying to show here. So essentially, Arjuna is now saying, I finally understand Krishna, why great Mahatmas, they really appreciate this Vishwarupam of yours. And the mature people who have seen this infinite vision of totality. I understand all this. And I also understand why, even though he uses the word Rakshasas, here we can also say that, the narrow-minded people, narrow-minded in the sense who are only working for themselves and everyone, why they have to go away from here. So all this. So let's look at the word sthane before we close for today. So sthane means something which is where everything is in its place. Okay? Everything is actually going right. Everything is how it should be. And Arjuna understands that finally, he understands that who is really working through all this. The vision is there. But we are, if we can do that, our lives also will be, calm, peaceful, and everything, because we have really understood whatever is happening for the good. Whatever is happening as it's supposed to be. But what do? We tend to sometimes question Ishvara whenever there's a major change. Okay, whenever there's let's say a tsunami, or there's a massive calamity. So either at that global level, or sometimes if it happens to us, or we sometimes tend to ask Ishvara to let things be a certain way. But when we understand that Ishvara is behind it, no matter what, we will look at events that is happening as maybe there is something for me to learn from it. And that there is a certain changes are happening. I mean, the best example is the symphony or orchestra. In an orchestra, all the 100 instruments or whatever, they all have to be in complete um, cadence. So that is what that cadence is what sthane is all about. All these events are being orchestrated for the benefit of the entire universe, not for a particular community, not for a particular state, not for a particular family, not for this one. All this is happening for the entire universe, entire universe. I wonder, that's how Sunitha Williams would have seen when she was way up in that space station. Could she see the whole thing happening? And I remember this one quote by one of the previous astronauts, when he went for the first time to the moon, and he looked from there at Earth. The Earth was like a small coin, a quarter. He literally says it was like a quarter. And in that quarter, you see University of Michigan fighting against Ohio. We get so worked up by all this. We get worked up by so many other things. All this is happening. But when you look at the entire Earth, everything seems to be sthane. Everything is meant to be the way it is. And so we also have to always remind ourselves of this word sthane. Everything is happening the way it is. So with this knowledge, we can really understand really what my role is and just keep on focusing on only improving myself for the betterment of society. So I'll stop at this one. So these are the two
Harivam,
most important. Yeah, Anand?
sthana is equilibrium. Is that one way of understanding?
It basically means that where everything is in its place. Yeah, you can mention equilibrium. Equilibrium is probably a good word from a purely technical sense. When both, being a chemist, I can say that both the hydrophobic and the hydrophilic parts are balanced, or both positive and negative is balanced, the yin and yang is balanced, all that. So balance, equilibrium, all these are good words where everything is going on is right.
Thanks.
What's the difference between sthane and sthanam?
Sthanam is, sthanam is probably an extension of sthane. You're right. In Tamil, we use sthanam, right? Yeah. Is in its place. Everything is in its place. Actually, everything is in its place, but just to be clear, everything is in its place from a global level. Okay, individually we may say that, oh, it is very cold here, I can't stand it. But in the bigger space, everything is exactly how it is meant to happen. And which is why the sthane is important. The sthane, we really have to ponder on this one, because let's take climate change here, right? So why are we worried about climate change? Why are we worried that the glaciers are melting faster? Because that equilibrium, and this is why Anand rightly pointed, the equilibrium has been disturbed in a global sense. So we need to really think about how are we going to maintain that equilibrium? What is it about my own action which is doing that? And if you look at it from that point, every small thing, like the plastics, the use of too much of plastics is against the sthane. Because somewhere somebody can use a lot of plastic, but in somewhere else it's getting dumped. And that is disturbing the equilibrium. So it's a very powerful word. So sthane rishikesha tava prakirtya jagat prahrishyati anugrihyate cha. So just one word, that sthane is what Ishvara is representing. Ishvara is sthane, He wants us to make sure that every small action of mine doesn't cause the disturbance, that ripple effect And yeah, that's what we can control. So Arjuna has chosen just the right word for describing this. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, Sunita ji.
Thank you.